time?
Yes, we are going to keep that.
This meeting of the Cole County Board of Education is called to order here on the 12th day of February. 65-degree temperatures outside. You don't expect that in mid-February. But anyway, we're not complaining, and I'm sure Dr. Stone is very happy about it as well.
Oh, absolutely.
That way we don't
Absolutely.
have any prospects of snow. So
Knock
we're
on
glad.
wood.
We still have March. We still have March.
Yeah, that's true. One of the worst snows was back in March, what, in the early 90s? But anyway, we'll see. Yeah. But we're glad you're here, and we are going to be having some recognitions here in a few minutes, and we always look forward to that. Let me just mention something. This past week, I think pretty much the board in its entirety was at the Dysart Awards, and two very worthy people were voted in as Man and Woman of the Year. Kay Crouch, and she had been in education, I think, for maybe 37 years. And then her husband, Patrick Crouch, he was a teacher down in Granite Falls for about 30 years. But very deserving winners of the Dysart Award. And we also want to mention that Dr. Stone was the winner of the Visionary Leader Award. And that's extremely special because they don't give it every year. It's something that's only given every once in a while and has to be a special situation. And I think we can agree that Dr. Stone has indeed been a visionary leader here in our community and in our school system. But we're happy you're here with us tonight. We're going to move on with the agenda. I'd like to call upon fellow board member Mrs. Ann Edwards for the invocation for the board.
Thank you, and good evening to each of you. Since February is considered to be Heart Month, or some say the month of love, I was extremely pleased to be asked to give this invocation. And so I begin it with gratitude and a thankful heart. And I want to make 3 points as I talk briefly. And the first one was to say that this board celebrates with two people sitting up here. First of all, with their chairman, who has just welcomed a new grandson. Granddaughter, Reese, granddaughter Reese. And for Dr. Stone's leadership in receiving the Visionary Leadership Award from our Chamber of Commerce. And so my thought is that as this board unites and works together to search for a new superintendent, that each of us will have the gift of wisdom and judgment. And since we last met, I see Andy and a few of the people here tonight and several people that we have just recently toured the southern end of the county for the 9 feeder schools, where principals throughout shared their continuous school improvement plans with us. You would have been proud of them, very proud of them. And we have visited many other schools by invitation. And I absolutely love these visits, as I can attest to my colleagues, because we see the dedication and the hard work of the teachers and the assistants and the administrators and the support staff. And my favorite sign that I observed during our tour of the school was one I saw on the wall that said, "When given a choice, choose kindness." And so the third point I want to make has to do with February being designed as and designated as Black History Month. I visited my son, and he has a quote that's framed on the wall of his house that was a quote from Jackie Robinson, and it says, "A life is not important except for the impact that it has on others." And I feel, as I think my colleagues will attest, that as we visit these schools, I am very proud to say that many lives are being impacted positively every day. So please join me now with a moment of silence for which you consider what you feel a need for gratitude and a thankful heart.
Thank you, Mrs. Edwards. I did want to mention that fellow board member Tim Hawkins is not here with us tonight. He's out of town, so he sends his regrets that he wasn't able to be here. Next on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and we have some students, a couple students from Sawmills Elementary School, fifth grade students there. They are ambassadors for the school. We have the Vice President, Peyton Denning, son of Robert and Miranda Denning, and Secretary Addie Connor, daughter of Steve and Karen Connor. So they're going to do our pledge. If everyone will please rise.
Salute, pledge.
Great job, Peyton and Addie. We appreciate you being here with us this evening. Next is the approval of the agenda, which the board has had for several days and had an opportunity to review. Do I hear a motion? We approve the agenda as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the agenda as we have received it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We had a meeting. Our last board meeting was on January the 11th, and you've had an opportunity to review those minutes of that meeting. We need to approve those for January 11th, 2018. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes from the regular board session of January the 11th, 2018, as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We also had a special meeting here on the 24th. The board met with the business community, with the principals, with the teachers and staff, and parents and so forth. So it was a good day, and we were asking for input into the special traits and characteristics that people would want to see in our superintendent. So we had that meeting on January 24th for public comment on the qualities of our next superintendent. I hear a motion we approve those minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of the January 24th special meeting for superintendent search.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the motion passes. And lastly, as Ann had indicated a little earlier, we did have a board walkthrough in the Southern District, and we truly do enjoy doing that. That was on January 29th. We had a meeting at Whitwell School, elementary school, and so you've had an opportunity to review those minutes. Do I hear a motion we approve the minutes of the January 29th meeting?
Chairman Pell, I'll make a motion we approve the minutes of the January 29th, 2018 meeting.
All right. Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes. Have a few announcements. First of all, Wednesday is Valentine's Day, for those of you who probably have forgotten that. So just a friendly reminder on that. On February 16th, this Friday. That will be an early release day. So students will be getting out right around noon. March the 12th, 2018, spring work session. That'll be here at the Ed Center, and that will be just prior to our board meeting. We will, I don't think a time has.
3 p.m.
3 p.m. 3 p.m. on that day. We'll have a board meeting that same day right here in the boardroom, March 12th. And we will also be doing another walkthrough, and this will be through the High Brighton District Schools. There'll probably be 8 or 9 of those that we will visit on March the 26th, so we look forward to that. Next is our honors and recognitions, and I'd like to turn the program over now to Libby Brown, Community Relations Director, and the board will go down front to congratulate those that are being recognized.
Chairman Pennell, board members, Dr. Stone, it's a great pleasure, as we always love this part of our board meetings, and to honor our students and employees in the Caldwell County Schools. And we're going to start with our budding artist in the Caldwell County Schools in our elementary and middle schools tonight. So parents, thank you for being here and showing this great support for your students. And you know you're always welcome to come back the entire month of February and get more pictures of your students' artwork that's on the wall. So please come back. We're going to start with Baton Elementary School, and the principal is Jason Tiefteller. Their art teacher is Jenny Green. And I know I saw some of these students earlier. We have Daniel Barnhill, 3rd grade. And I know Mr. Barnhill is here. You want to come forward for your certificate? We have Sarah Burns, 4th grade. Alexis Glazebrook, 5th grade. Philip Manning, 1st grade. And James Ogren, 5th grade. And I think Mr. Ogren. Okay, we'll go to Gamewell Elementary School, and I think some of these are not here tonight, but Andy Berry is here, our principal, and the art teacher, Doug Davis, is here also. So if you'd like to come forward. Lucas Engelbrecht, 5th grade. Marlene Guerva Sanchez, she is also 5th grade. Okay, we have Briseis Jones, she is a 5th grader, Briseis. We have Carla McCurdy, also a 5th grader at Gamewell Elementary School, and I'm not sure she can make it. And Ian Talbert, also a 5th grader at Gamewell Elementary School. So we have several 5th graders, but let's give this group a round of applause. Yeah, picture time. So if we're gonna squeeze in, and parents, please, you can pull out your phones and get in the aisle. You can just get a good spot to get a picture of board members and principals. I feel like I need to pull this back. And if you want to scoot in there, James.
Why don't y'all get up? You probably ought to stand in, you're kind of tall. All right, hang on, we got a couple more.
Great job. Okay, we have Gamewell Middle School. So we have one middle school this evening that we would like to recognize. Principal is Anna Crook, and the art teacher is Miss Janet Roman, and both of those women are here this evening. Emma Andrews, 7th grader. There's Emma. Atlanta Baker, 6th grade. Jayla Bristol, 8th grade. Joseph Hartley, 6th grade. And Sarah Wyatt, 6th grade. And I know Sarah. So this is our middle school group. If you want to get in the center there and let's get a group picture.
Y'all wanna move, Andy, y'all wanna move on in?
Thanks for the.
So we have lots to go on. So I hope you enjoyed those beautiful pieces of artwork that you saw on the wall. Okay, now we're going to turn our attention to teachers. So 8 teachers recently earned National Board Certification, the highest level of education certification in the country, awarded by the National Board of Professional Teaching Standards. These newly certified teachers join an esteemed group of 268 educators, media coordinators, and counselors that have gained national certification while serving in the Caldwell County Schools. So 268 while they were here with us. We'd like to introduce this new group, awarded in 2017, and it is a grueling process. We know that, so we're very proud of them. They deserve recognition this evening, and we're going to start with High Brighton High School. Sarah Starnes, and the principal at High Brighton is David Caldwell. So Sarah, take your walk. And you see, you know, when you have good behavior in school or you have good conduct, you get the little gold star. So you see, we're giving gold stars away for our teachers. So that will go on their classroom door. Veronica Rising, and Veronica is South Caldwell. Chad Smith is principal, and he's here this evening. So Veronica. And Rebecca Talbert, also from South Caldwell. We have Angela Taylor from West Caldwell, and Angela's principal is Andy Poole, here tonight supporting you. We have Erin Smith from the Patterson Science Center, and Amy Bradley, her director, is here as well. So congratulations, Erin. We have Megan Starnes from Hudson Elementary School, and Adam Windmiller is the principal at Hudson. That was a mouthful. We do not. Are we running out of stars? We will get you a star, okay? And I know Laura Brinkley could not be here this evening. She is the CTE coordinator, but she's at a workshop this evening. And we have Amanda Marley. Amanda is from Hudson Elementary School as well. So Amanda. Amanda is also the North Carolina Council of the Teachers of Mathematics Outstanding Elementary Teacher of the Year for 2016 and 17. So this is a nice certificate from the state and a very nice award. So if you want to give this. Picture time.
So move on in a little bit for some pictures.
It's okay, I'll look around, you just. Congratulations.
Thank you. So in unison, as you're sitting down, was it tough? Yes. Very tough process, so we're very, very proud of you. We have schools we'd like to recognize now in the district, and I'd like for Keith Hyman, Middle School Director and PBIS Coordinator, and Dr. Lisa Widener, our Title I Director, and our Elementary Director, to come up with me because we have lots of things to give away. Certificates and banners and Clarissa Mitchell. So Clarissa, is she here? What is her role? I mean, her job, her title. She is becoming the district coordinator, so she is in training, okay? So, I'm gonna turn this off. That's my child
That's a
looking
point,
for me,
lady.
okay? So, we have 7 schools that have received honors by the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction for success through the Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports. We call it PBIS in the school district, a school-wide program that demonstrates the ability to work together productively, to use school data effectively, and to develop a support system for student behaviors. So for the 7 schools, we are going to start with the Green Ribbon schools, and that's Tier 1 in the PBIS model. And they have a PBIS in-school coach. They have a team of PBIS members, and they also meet monthly. So we're going to start with our green schools, our Green Ribbon schools, and state certificate, banner, local certificate. You are definitely going to be adorned when you leave here this evening, okay? So we're going to start with Sawmills Elementary School, and Courtney Wright is the principal.
So if anyone from Sawmills want to join us?
Yes, so she has some teachers.
You all will come this way, we want to unfurl the banner and hold the banner and get a picture. Come on down the front of the board.
Yeah, so we want a banner picture in the center.
We'll do a quick little picture and then we'll do one for each school.
Yeah.
Okay? With the banner up. Come in the middle.
Yeah, if you'll get in the center, and
Probably not.
you could get on Monday. Okay.
Congratulations.
Okay, congratulations to Sawmills. Next, we have Valmead Elementary School, and Valmead is a Green Ribbon school, and we have Carol Sturgis, principal, here with us this evening. So, Carol, if you'd like to come up with some of your teachers, would you like to introduce your teachers?
Yes.
Okay.
Allison Franson, first grade teacher, and Nicole Walfridge, fourth grade teacher.
Okay, so thank you for being here this evening, and you have a nice banner to hang in your school.
Thank you.
If you,
Thanks, Ryan.
so if you will get in the center there. The next level is Tier 1 and Tier 2 of the PBIS project, and it is another level of intervention and support for the students and an effective use of the data at the schools. So this is called a model school. So we have 5 schools as model schools in the Caldwell County Schools. And we'll start with Bayton Elementary School. So Bayton Elementary and Jason T. Keller, and I think you have Mr. Hill with you. And Jenny Green, the art teacher. So, congratulations to Bayton Bears.
Jason, come over this way.
Okay. Next, we have Davenport A+ School, and Kelly Smith is here. And Kelly, you have teachers with you? Okay. She's been recruited. Yes. So Davenport A+ School is a model school for PBIS. Gamewell Elementary School. So we saw Mr. Berry earlier with some of his art students. So Gamewell Elementary School, if you'd like to come get your model school banner, and you have a group of teachers with you. Andy, would you like to introduce your teachers?
We have Mr. Davis, Ms. Wyatt, Ms. Robinson, Ms. Barrett, and Ms. Bouchard.
Very good, thank you. And our last model school for this year is Hudson Middle School, and Julia Knight Lovett is here with us. Yeah, well, you held her. So now when you see those green banners, you know what that means. PBIS. And we have one school, and this is the highest honor for PBIS. And PBIS is, for this school, it started in 2007. So they started the initiative here in Caldwell County. It goes to Gamewell Middle School, and Anna Crook is principal, and I think she has a few teachers with her. They are a North Carolina exemplar school for PBIS, so we're very proud of them.
My goal was to stand in the middle so I could stand behind the banner.
There we go. I need somebody on this one, the other side of this thing. There we go. Oh, no, no, sir. I'm not there.
Very good looking group. Thank you. Okay, Keith would like to say.
Yes, I would just like for everyone to know that we're really making a lot of strides. Right now, out of our K-5 schools, 82% of them are PBIS schools in our district, and 3/4 of our middle schools are at this point. So, and we have 2 more schools this year that began implementation, Granite Falls Middle School, Lower Creek as well, and then for 2018, 2019, we have 3 that are using this year to plan to begin in 2018, 2019. That's going to be Hudson Elementary School, Dudley, Shoals, and West Lenore. So they're coming on board, so thank y'all.
Yes, good deal.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And for our board members, the Board of Education, they are actually required to do continuing education. And I think they're the only elected body in North Carolina required to receive continuing education, to be in good standing as an elected official in education. And they are certainly always attentive to those hours that they need in attending these workshops. And they come back and you'll hear these reports, or if you want to watch them, they're recorded. Very informative, so thank you for that and bringing that information back to the Caldwell County Schools. Daryl Pennell is a winner of the Bronze Award for North Carolina School Boards Association Academy for School Boardsmanship. So congratulations, Mr. Pennell. Dwayne Knight receives the Award of Excellence by the same organization, the North Carolina School Boards Association Academy for School Boardsmanship. So congratulations. Ann Edwards receives the Certificate of Merit from the North Carolina School Boards Association Academy for School Boardsmanship. Congratulations. And the Scholars Circle to Dottie Darcy. They called you Dorothy. Okay. They've renamed you, okay? But you'll accept it, right? From the North Carolina School Boards Association Academy for School Boardsmanship. Thank you very much. That's probably one of the higher levels. And Joe Sims receives the Certificate of Achievement from the North Carolina School Boards Association Academy for School Boardsmanship. So congratulations, Mr. Sims. And Teresa Branch receives the Certificate of Achievement from the North Carolina School Boards Association Academy for School Boardsmanship. Congratulations, Teresa.
Why don't you flip it open so they can see it's something other than a black folder? With a picture.
So very proud of our board members and all that they accomplish. Yes, so it's nice to be awarded. Thank you. Would you like to say anything?
Okay, we're kind of at a juncture now. If you want to go home for dinner, or if some of these young people here need to do some homework, now would be the appropriate time. But you're welcome to stick around for the remainder of our meeting if you'd like. But thank you for being here tonight.
I feel like I need some, just our general principles. Okay, there we go.
Do we have a meeting on the 5th, March 5th? So will that be during the day or in the evening?
I don't know, that'll be when they come back. I don't know. I guess it'll be when we want it to be, I guess.
Okay.
Okay,
Ian stepped away.
all right. We'll wait just a minute for Mrs. Edwards.
While we're filling some time, we did go visit that bus since last meeting.
Oh, that's
If you
true.
want to do
Why
that,
did you do that?
it's a board report.
Oh, is it a board report?
No, it's yours here now. You're after Donna.
Oh, no, oh,
There you go. You're after Donna.
I don't mind doing it right now so we don't extend the meeting.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. The board visited,
Happened to come up to be a part of our meeting and ask some awfully good questions.
She did.
So we were pleased by that. So probably in the future, we may even arrange for students to come to our board meeting so that they can ask the board questions. But that was something we had not planned on, but it was a very pleasant occasion indeed. Okay, as of 3:30 this afternoon, we had no public comment, so we're going to move on with the agenda. And we have two representatives from the North Carolina School Boards Association. As all of you know, we had a meeting in here, and we got a lot of information. There were a lot of surveys turned in. And so from the School Boards Association, we have two attorneys, Scott Murray and Sam Thorpe. So, Scott, I'll turn it over to you now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So Sam is going to help me hand out some of these materials. Thank you. Board and staff. And we will make sure that Libby has an electronic copy of all this so she can share it publicly as well. So, board members, these are the materials that you should have received via email last Thursday. So hopefully you've had a chance to look over this in advance. But the reason we're here from NCSBA tonight, I know you guys are used to seeing Allison Schaefer from our office. Allison is currently vacationing in New Zealand right now. So I guess they're probably the middle of the day tomorrow where she is. But she can't be here tonight, so I'm happy to come with Sam. Nancy, I know you guys have also met. She's helping out with your search. She actually fell and bumped her head on Friday, but she seems to be okay, but her doctor told her to take it easy, so we did not bring her with us tonight either. I know I met some of you guys before the meeting. If you have not met me, my name's Scott Murray. I've been with NCSBA about 7 years now and been helping Allison with superintendent searches for 6 years, and I think I've worked on over 70 searches. So I'm happy to come and answer any questions about your current search and present the public input piece. So before I get into the survey results, I just wanted to give a brief overview of kind of where you are in the process and answer any questions from the board, and then we'll go over the public input. So you guys began advertising for the position back in December. The deadline for receiving applications was last Monday, February 5th. And I told the board this, but you guys received 24 applications, which is a good number. I think it's some good quality too. You guys will be excited to see those, and they were from 10 different states. So not just North Carolina people looking, I think people from elsewhere realize this is a good place to work. So I think those are encouraging numbers. Board members will be receiving all that information by the close of business Friday, the 16th. So we will post all of that on Assembly, just like we've been posting the survey results and all the other confidential information. You can log in and be able to access that on Friday. So it takes us a while to process everything, and we also pull publicly available news articles and internet information, just so you have all the information that you need about every candidate to review starting this Friday. Then you guys will have a few weeks to look through everything, and I believe tentatively we're set for March 5th to meet, and that's when you guys would decide. In closed session, you'll meet with us and determine which applicants you want to call in for an interview and schedule the logistics of those interviews as well. As far as the surveys go, you actually opened up the public input period back into early December as well, the same time you began advertising the position. So over those 6 to 8 weeks, the survey deadline was also Monday, February 5th. And as you'll see shortly, you also received a lot of good input from the community and staff via the online surveys and the public forum and the organizational statements. So any questions about process or logistics before I get into the results?
Scott, on the 5th, how much time do you project that we might need
On March 5th?
to allow?
Usually those meetings run a couple of hours. It depends if everybody comes with their calendars and we can nail down some interview dates, that can save a little bit of time. We'll usually ask everybody to come with an idea of who they want to interview, and that kind of helps speed the discussion along, but I would say a lot, at least 2 hours.
Okay.
So are we gonna receive, like, just the applications? Are we gonna receive charts, showing information about the application?
That's a good question. So you will receive the applications, you'll receive their transcripts that they submitted, their licenses, their resumes, any letters of reference, everything the candidates submitted online, you'll receive that. You'll also receive the internet searches, which is what I mentioned, where we kind of save you the time of having to Google everybody. So we put all that information together for you so you can see, if they've won awards or if they've been bought out or if they've done really good things or kind of what they're doing. The other thing that we will give you is we call it a candidate experience chart. So we just kind of map out, where each candidate has been working, their highest level of experience, whether they're in-state or out-of-state. We're not really screening the candidates for you. We just want you to easily be able to see their experience level.
So all 24 will be listed?
Yes,
and everybody?
yes.
Okay.
And so,
But
yeah.
as I understand you, we're going to receive all of that in advance, so we have plenty of time to peruse it.
That is correct. You will be
Friday.
able to log in by the end of the day, Friday, and see every single applicant. It's going to be a lot to go through. I know it's a daunting task. But hopefully between the 16th and the 5th, you'll have some downtime, some good time for some light reading. Any other questions?
We'll have a meeting on the 5th.
That's the suggested date on the timeline. If you guys want to go ahead and pencil that
The
in,
evening.
or if you have a.
We need
conflict.
to,
Or
when is a convenient time?
I'm good anytime.
What's the pleasure of the board there? Teresa, you got a thought? You want to do it evening or earlier in the day, or?
I think we need to get to a lot where we'll have plenty of time and not be tired and rushed.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
So-
I'd maybe shoot for would 3 o'clock work for most
I think-
Or
people?
even earlier.
And then,
Or
you know,
earlier.
we've
I
got,
can do it,
Lunchtime?
yeah, start at 1 or start at lunch or start
Why
whenever.
don't we say 1 o'clock then?
That way we got plenty of time.
okay.
We don't have to
Anybody in
rush.
disagreement with 1 o'clock on the 5th?
1 o'clock sounds good. Are we going to eat lunch here or eat lunch before we arrive?
Probably easier to eat before we get here.
Yeah.
And then we can just get
So,
started.
Probably
yeah.
be easier just to eat before we come.
Okay, I'll go ahead and put that down and let Allison and Nancy know as well. That will be a closed session meeting.
Right.
Okay, any other questions about timeline?
So will we be, that room may not be big enough. I
Well-
wonder if we could be in that room to spread our stuff.
Wherever it be,
The
would
staff,
it be
staff development.
staff
room.
development, that'll be private enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's over there.
Okay, so I will now get to the public input summary. As I said, you guys had a lot of good participation from your staff and your community. The presentation and the documents I gave you contain a summary of your survey results. They also contain the detailed results where you can see how every single answer breaks down. And they contain the survey comments. Now, it would be impossible for me to stand up and try to summarize hundreds and hundreds of comments. But I know the board has seen all of that information in full. And as far as what we can publicly release, we did have to take out by law, we had to redact any references to specific personnel or students. So that has been redacted on the handouts tonight and the copy that I'm going to give to Libby. You also received 2 organizational statements that are included in your materials at the end. One from the Caldwell County Association of Educators and one from the Caldwell County Principal and Assistant Principal Association. And on January 24th, the board also had a chance to hear from various stakeholders at your community forum meetings. Sam has done a great job putting together a summary of all those comments, so that community forum summary is also included with your materials. However, I'm going to talk solely about the surveys. Again, the comments, the organizational statements, and the forum, those documents all speak for themselves, but I will try to summarize the surveys as best I can. So as I said, the deadline was last Monday. I think you guys got very good responses. Over 1,100 folks in your community went online or submitted a paper survey on what they're looking for in the next superintendent. And you had over 400 staff members start the survey. You can see almost everyone that started it was able to finish it, so that's a good sign. And you also received quite a bit of comments. Over 400 comments from your community and over 160 comments from your staff. So hopefully you've had a chance to read those. If you haven't, you can still go back over the next few days and read through all of those. So the demographics of who responded, 82% of the respondents did have children in the school system. So a lot of parents, for obvious reasons, are interested in what characteristics the next superintendent will have. And the next question asks if they did have children, what grade levels. You can see a small amount of preschool students, the majority elementary, and then the middle school and high school kind of break out, as you would expect. From your staff, you had over half of the respondents, 58% actually, were teachers. Then you had approximately 9% administrators and 31% support staff. And out of those staff members, again, the split, you would probably expect about half elementary, almost 18% middle school, and 31.5% high school. So those are the demographics of your respondents, and now we'll let you know how their responses shook out. So the board chose to do a relatively straightforward survey. Really, we listed, I think, 20 to 25 different traits and characteristics, and asked each person taking the survey to rank them as either most important, very important, important, less important, or least important. So then we kind of have a mathematical formula that aggregates all of the results, and we're able to come out with the breakdown on the summary document, which I gave you all. And as you can see, on this document, you can see from 1 all the way to 25, or 24, excuse me. From 1 to 24, you can see how your staff ranked each statement and how your community ranked each statement. In the presentation, we've only broken out the top 10 because I don't want to be here all night. And we tried to focus on the top ones that your staff and community think are important. So here we've broken down community and staff, where their priorities lie. What I found interesting is that the top 7 for your community and staff were actually the same, just in a different order. So there was a lot of consistency between your community and staff, but they were just slightly different in terms of, one maybe 2 and one maybe 4. You can see for your community, having a safe environment for students is their top priority. A superintendent who understands how to provide a safe environment. And that was actually number 3 for your staff, so still a high priority for them as well. Number 1 for your staff was being able to get money for schools, right? So being able to obtain funding from the commissioners and at the state level, being able to advocate for resources. Number 2 for your community was getting all stakeholders to work together, someone who can, collaborate and bring people together. Number 2 for your staff is someone with strong people skills. That was actually number 4 for your community. So again, you'll see a lot of consistency, which I think is probably a good sign. If your community and your staff are really far apart, that can be tricky for an incoming superintendent. So 3 for community is the being an advocate for resources. Again, that was number 1 for your staff. The people skills again, and then number 5, accessible. They want someone who, is responsive and accessible, and they feel like is hearing their concerns, which makes sense. Your staff, as I said, also wants a safe environment, also wants a leader who can bring people together, and wants somebody who can communicate well with all different kinds of people. 6 through 8. Again, you kind of see a theme of communication here, because we already have people skills, we have communicates with all people, and then number 8 for community, communicates well with all community groups. So they want someone who brings people together and is a good communicator. Then you see 6 through 8 for staff. There's the first mention of school finance and budgets. That was actually number 7 for your community, so very close for both of them. Again, we see accessibility. And this one stuck out a little bit to me. Number 8 for your staff has been an effective classroom teacher. That was number 16 for your community, so not as high of a priority. But we see that often when we use a similar survey to this one, that those who are in the classroom obviously want to see somebody who has that same experience. So that is not abnormal at all. And then number 9 and 10, we already had accessibility. Here you see visibility, so somebody who's not only responsive to parents' concerns, but will go out in the schools and will be visible at school events. That was number 11 for your staff, so just missed the top 10. And then number 10 has ideas and approaches to improve the graduation rates and prevent dropouts. This was one of the others that kind of stuck out because there was a discrepancy. That was number 20 for your staff. So staff was not as concerned about graduation rate. Again, it doesn't mean they didn't think it was important, just not as important as some of the other things. And then with staff, you had, again, communication as number 9 and supporting firm discipline in schools. That's another one where, you know, the people who are on the front lines in the classrooms, obviously they want to see discipline as a priority in your next superintendent. The only other one I'll point out, again, your chart has everyone ranked 1 to 24, but I did notice, kind of like the classroom experience, your staff ranked principal experience pretty high. It was number 12, and that was number 19 in the community. So I know it's been a pretty quick overview, but like I said, hopefully you've had a chance to read through everything and digest it all. Typically, the next step tonight is for the board, essentially now that you've had the community forums, you've had public comment, you've seen the organizational statements, you have read the comments. Now the board kind of gets a chance to let us know what you're looking for in a superintendent. So we can just open it up for a conversation. Sam's going to help me out. We'll both be taking notes, but this way you can see what you've already said. And before we get into that, I just want to briefly explain kind of what this profile is for. We gave you guys a couple samples on Assembly. Hopefully you got a chance to look at them, of other profiles that we've done in other districts. Essentially, this is not a chart where every applicant has to have each characteristic or trait. Obviously, that would be very hard for anybody to meet every single standard that you're looking for. It's really a chance for you guys to just say what's a priority, and then what we do is we take it and turn it into a candidate rating chart. And that way, as you're going through applicants and you're sitting through an interview, you know, if the board has said we want somebody who has been a teacher, you know, you can just check off, has been a teacher. Or if the board wants somebody who has, you know, shown a track record of improving test scores, you know, that it'll just kind of be a tool to help you rank candidates. Like I said, it's not meant to be exclusive of any candidates. It's really just another way for you guys to have something on paper as to what you're looking for. So with that said, but the other thing is that this is not a set in stone document. What you say tonight obviously can change. The reason we do it now is because you haven't seen the applicants yet. So, you know, a lot of times if you've already seen people, you might have a picture in your head of what you're looking for. This way you can set the guidelines first and then kind of see who matches up. So, like I said, this document may change. You guys can, you know, revisit it at your next meeting. You can revisit it throughout the process. But really, it's just a way for you to have something to come back to where the board has kind of spoken to what it's looking for. All right, I'll open it up to the board members.
Okay, I was looking at the top 10 that you had listed,
Yes, sir.
and there were 8 that was listed in both of them.
Okay.
And I think that's a good 8 to start with right there.
That is a good foundation. We will, we'll just say the top 8 that community and staff agree on. And Sam and I will go back and fill those in your profile.
The 8 that was mentioned in both
Okay.
community and staff.
Anyone else?
And the score that they receive is simply an average of 5 most important, 4 very important, 3 important.
That's exactly right.
2 less important, 1 least important. So really, if you look at these, from 22 on up, there's not a whole lot of difference because the characteristics that were listed, except for experience as a teacher, experience as a principal, experience as a assistant or associate superintendent, experience as a principal, all those others, you're gonna want in a superintendent. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like
Yeah.
you're gonna, any of them you wanna throw out. But one thing I did notice, and I do not see this as a negative, is last on both lists was should continue the current direction of the school system. And I think, I don't see that as a negative at all. When Dr. Stone moves a principal from one school to another, he doesn't expect that new principal at that school to continue everything that's been going. What'd be the point in moving them if, but I think that is,
I think it
that's a
almost-
message too. that
I think it
some-
almost says that they want it to change. I mean, it's not that they're disappointed where we're at, but it's
We're
like, okay,
open
let's
to
take that
change.
next step
Yeah.
and improve our district. So,
Yeah.
what leadership skills have they got to, or what are they bringing to the table to help us move forward?
Because that's the only one on either side that's less than 3, and 3 being important.
And I will say, that's commonly the last one when we
Yeah.
do this survey.
But I still don't see it as negative. I just,
Right, I
it's
agree.
just,
It's almost like
it's just part of change.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's a positive because everybody is expecting change.
Something
It
new
sounds
and
like,
different.
we want us to move forward.
Right.
In a new direction. Not necessarily a new direction, that's the wrong words, but, improvement, step forward.
And there is some redundancy. Number 6 and number 8 are both dealing with communication
Yeah.
in the rank of the community. So that could be, kind of put together as one.
Okay.
Well, going from the, and this, for me, one of the things that, and it was brought up a lot in our community, whenever the groups were here, was I'm gonna break it down to CTE, to one is an advocate for it and strong in that field, because a lot of the surveys from the community, the business, I think every group mentioned, that's important in what we're looking at, one of the characteristics to at least look at.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, just on note, and I know every board member has read this, but I think it's pretty awesome that the community took the time to do the survey, because it was not a just point and click and go. I mean, you had to take your time and think it through to score all this and the business, and I thank the community for doing that, because I think it gives us some guidance also.
Definitely. And 1,100 is a really good number based on others we've seen.
And because the survey has all of these items as important or higher,
Right. Yeah.
I think the comments are valuable. And let me tell you, I started reading those comments, and I'm into reading them for nearly 2 hours. And I ended up calling the School Board Association and asked if I could have it in an Excel spreadsheet. Because when you're reading over 500 comments and you pause and you think, you can't keep up with where the patterns are in your head if you're reading 500 comments. So they were able to send it to me. And then I categorized comments by themes and then sorted by those themes so I could have real data and not just what I thought I was remembering from reading all that stuff. And that was helpful. I guess we got to figure out how we're going to use the comments in moving forward. And some of them were entertaining.
Absolutely.
There are always sorts of entertaining ones.
Well, and it also reinforces that you can't please everybody, because there are a bunch that said it should be somebody from Caldwell County, and then there are another bunch that said it should be from out of state. So obviously, some people will be happy and some people will not be happy. So everybody's got an opinion.
Yeah, but over 60 people on the community one said something about safety.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I don't have it on my tablet.
under the leadership category, one of the things we heard from the committee and the community over and over is the need for financial direction and for technology to be increased in our school system. And that is taken care of in these comments, or is that something that should be added?
No, I mean, well, I think at this point, you just wanna throw everything.
Well, another pretty common theme was mental health issues.
Yes.
Not only for the students, but, you know,
For staff
how the
as
staff
well.
can.
Yeah.
Student services area.
The student services area.
Okay.
I did some reading on things that we like to see in good leaders, and one of the things that I found was that they should be accessible and respond in a timely fashion. And that's something I'm not sure that we ever have discussed.
Okay.
And another one is positioning leaders for future growth. We have real potential in this county with people who are in leadership capacities, and so positioning leaders for future growth is one I would be interested in.
And another one that I don't think was specifically listed, but it kind of plays into some of the others, is delegates appropriately.
Okay.
Because nobody can do everything, no matter how hard they try. And knowing, you know, to whom and how much to delegate, I think is an important area.
Another area that I think is big from the research I tried to do in preparation for this is integrity. And that a leader has a core of truthfulness. And I think that being able to get at that core is going to be a key for us. And I'm not going to keep on, but I do have another one. And that is humility, because I think leaders sometimes, we expect them to be strong and decisive, but to me, a humble leader is one that we might look at for humility.
I think maybe someone who's a collaborator. You know, we have a lot of good relationships here in the county. We need to be able to continue the relationship we have with community college, the chamber, the business community. We've got a lot of churches that are business, well, they're involved,
yeah.
business partners with various schools throughout the community. So with the churches as well, having that relationship with elected officials, county commissioners, the parents throughout the county, teachers, you know, just a good collaborator, I guess.
Sure.
Because we've had a good situation, and we just want that to continue.
I'd like to offer one more if I might be allowed to.
Please.
And talking about a strategic planner, because one of my other colleagues, I'm sorry, I don't remember who, alluded to the fact that leaders have to be future-oriented, and I think that's what happens with technology, is that we just have to keep going and going. We may have been doing a wonderful job, but technology is such a key and changes so quickly that we have to look for leadership to be future-oriented.
In these results, I noticed that the last three was, as Teresa had mentioned, you know, continue the same direction, but the one right above it, and these are last number 20, that was 24, number 23 has been a successful superintendent, and the other one was a successful associate or assistant or associate superintendent. So, you know, from reading that, it sounds to me that the staff and the public, that's not the highest thing on the priority list. Is that a normal response for that to be that low, or?
I will say it's normal for staff and community to put more focus on classroom and principal than superintendent or associate superintendent. I've done so many of these, it's hard to say what's normal and what's not. Maybe those are a little lower than.
Well, I was
normal,
just
but-
wondering,
yeah.
I mean, I didn't know if that was because you knew the other one was a normal thing for it to be.
Right.
put in, But I wasn't sure if that was a norm or not.
I think those are usually not in the top 10, but I can't say that they're always
Okay.
down that low.
But they're still listed as important.
Oh, yeah, they're
Yeah,
still in the
yeah,
important
yeah,
category
yeah.
by their score, but it's just,
Yeah, as you were saying,
It's
everything's
interesting.
at least important.
Yeah.
and it is, it's, we discussed that whenever we were deciding on the questions, is like, how do you choose which one of these is?
Any other specifics?
I think a visionary leader, it came up in different ways in different parts of the comments.
And I think also in relation to number 17 with the community, building, have experience with building, maintaining, and managing schools. And I know in the sessions that we had, several people talked about the culture of the schools being different from one place to another. And somebody who is attuned to that on a regular basis. So just, I think number 17 is pretty important, but I think it can be expanded to probably include culture and I don't know if
Organization.
soft skills might be included in that. I know we heard a lot about that during the business session that we had. Soft skills, communication skills, and those kinds of things that we need to get our students to be a little bit better at.
Yes, I will say, remember, you can always come back to this document, you can always come back to the surveys. As you're coming up with interview questions, as you're narrowing it down, when you get to your finalists, these are tools that are gonna last you throughout the rest of the process, so. If there's anything you wanna add later, you can always call or email, or we can discuss it more in March, so. Last call.
Maybe ways to strengthen the relationship between the schools and the district level, to strengthen that relationship, and it may be under collaboration, but.
Okay. If only somebody had every single one of these characteristics.
Wow.
Your
I was just,
job would be really easy, wouldn't it?
I was just thinking, if
It's impossible.
Right.
that person, yes,
We want it all, don't we?
never have a person to sleep.
Right. Okay, well, unless there are any further questions from the board, we'll take this back and get to work on it tomorrow and send something out to you guys.
Okay.
And we'll see you in March 5th. And between now and then, like I said, we'll send an email out Friday, letting you know that everything's posted.
Okay.
If you have any trouble with Assembly or any trouble opening the documents, give me a call, Sam a call, Allison, Nancy, we'll all answer the phone and take care of it. And We just want to make sure you guys have everything, so all you have to worry about is picking the right person.
Just toss out one other thing.
Yes, sir.
Scott, while you're here. Maybe someone who has a broad experience in curriculum instruction, budget management. You know, I think that would be important to kind of have someone with a broad view of the whole picture. I mean, Dr. Stone obviously has done a great job in that regard. We're looking to have somebody that can, you know, have the broad view of education in the county.
Right. Okay. Got that over there, Sam? All right.
Scott, this is now, this copy, I mean, Libby's got it, so it will be, I'm assuming, put out for people, the public to see, is that correct?
The completed profile or the survey summary?
The summary. that-
Yes, yeah, that
Okay.
can, we're gonna send her the PDFs tomorrow morning, so she can
Okay.
post those.
Will it be on the website?
Be marked out like this.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
the
will be redacted.
I would just like to say that I was really pleasantly pleased with the seriousness that the committee and our administrators and teachers took in response to this, and the number of people who came here to speak to us. I think it speaks well for them, and I appreciate my colleagues that are listening so well to what people are saying to us.
Well, they won't put those out.
This was a lot of good data.
Good.
Y'all done a good job with this. So what's going to be in the public? The charts that you've shown us, the pie charts and the other charts, comments are not going to be.
Well, the comments, to the extent they don't speak about personnel or students, will be public. Those are included. But we have taken out, you know, if they mention a specific name or if they're talking about an employee's performance, then we would take that out. Because that's protected under the general
Yeah.
statutes.
I know he's already rolled that up, but can you read that to us one more time, just to make sure we've got everything we want in it?
Sure. Can you give me the whole one?
Sure.
All right, you go through that one, I'll go through this one.
Okay. Integrity or truthfulness, humility, a humble leader, collaborator. I listed community colleges, the business community, faith communities, elected officials, parents, and teachers. A strategic planner, for example, technology, and being future-oriented. A visionary leader, experience with building and maintaining schools, attuned to the unique culture of each school in Caldwell County, soft and communication skills, willing to strengthen relationships between Caldwell County schools and the community, and a broad experience in curriculum development and budget management, a broad view and perspective of education in Caldwell County.
And on this one, we have the top 8 characteristics that both your staff and community agreed on. An advocate for CTE programs, focus on school safety, able to improve technology, and improve finances, improve the mental health, something.
Position leaders in the community for future growth and delegates appropriately.
Believe it or not, my handwriting is a lot worse than Sam's.
Impossible.
What
So
did
you
you,
did
what
get
did
the
you say
better
about
option on the
curriculum?
handwriting.
What did you say about curriculum?
I just said somebody.
It was
who
on that,
It was on the first.
Yeah.
It's on the first one, it's read
page.
out.
I never
At the bottom?
read it.
Board experience and broad experience in.
Broad
curriculum
experience in
development,
curriculum
Yeah.
instruction and budget management.
I feel like this is a relay race. When Dr. Stone hands off the baton, we'll take next person to run faster than Dr. Stone's been running. Okay?
It's a good metaphor.
Runs faster than Dr. Stone.
So the curriculum's on there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Great.
Thank you all for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will head back to Raleigh and be in touch tomorrow.
Okay,
Thank
drive
you,
safe.
Scott,
Be safe.
Sam, for being with us, and a good job on the charts and all.
Thank you.
We'll continue on with the meeting. I'll turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. Steve Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I don't envy you at all in the superintendent selection, but good luck. The couple of action items, the first one is the school calendars for the traditional schools. The first day is August the 27th, the last day is June 7th. We do have Election Day as a student optional, or a optional planning day for teachers. 3 days off at Thanksgiving, 2 weeks off at Christmas, a week and a day for spring break, and last day for students is the 7th. Would like to recommend this calendar for a 1-month comment period. It is also built in with a 10-minute addition to the day, so we will be adding 10 minutes to the school day. It also allows our high schools want to try something different this year and have their exams before Christmas, which will be a 79-day semester with the additional 10 minutes. It will actually pick up enough time for 2 days, and the second semester would have 101. We'd like to put that out for a 1-month comment period.
Okay, do I hear a motion that we approve the traditional school calendar for a 1-month comment period?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we approve the 2018-2019 school calendar for a 1-month comment period as presented by Superintendent.
Second.
Any comments?
Well, also on the calendar, have what you said about 79-101.
It will not, because that really only applies to the high schools. If there is a place on here for when high school exams will be taken, that will be on the calendar. Do we traditionally put that, Libby? High school exams? That's the only reference to the 79.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion passes.
The second calendar is for the middle college and the early college. That calendar starts for students on August the 9th, ends on May 21st, has many of the same dates and times that the teachers are off for both schools. 2 weeks, actually a little bit more at Christmas, 3 days at Thanksgiving, a week and a half, or a week and a day at spring break, and again, the last day for those students would be the 21st. This does align to the community college. It will also have the 10 minutes additional time added to the calendar.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve for a 30-day comment period the middle college and early college calendar for 2018-19.
Second the motion.
Any comments on this calendar? Or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Mr.
Motion
Chairman.
passes.
Item 3.
May I just ask one quick question? And then maybe I should know the answer to this, but I know that in the General Assembly, the pilot that we were to be a part of did not happen in the Senate.
Right, it passed the House, but did not make the Senate.
But is there any, are we hearing any rumblings that there might be something that, or do we have to approve this in 1 month so that we're ready to go in case the General Assembly would let us have the pilots or other things?
If history is any kind of witness, I don't think the Senate's going to pick it up. There's obviously some very powerful people in the Senate who are blocking any discussion of the calendar. I think the House was a bipartisan support, Democrat and Republican, but it just dies in the Senate. I have not, through my association, heard anybody say anything about the Senate being willing to pick it up.
That answers
Yeah.
what I was thinking
I-
about.
I think
Thank
that
you
will not
for-
happen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The third item is for, the second item is for calendar modifications. What we'd like to do is, with the board's approval, is to take March the 23rd of this year's calendar, which is an early release day, and convert that to a full day for students and staff. That does require the board's approval. And also, as another proponent of what happens if we continue to get long days or a couple of days of bad weather, we would like to have the ability to modify the calendar by adding 20 minutes to the end of the day to keep us from having to take spring break or days at the end of the school year to make up days. So I'd like for you to approve converting March 21st to an early release day and giving us the ability to move quickly when we need to add 20 minutes to the day to preserve spring break or keep from adding days at the end of
At
the
this
school year.
time, we don't need it, right?
At this time, we do not.
Yeah.
But
So-
I thought I heard March 23rd, and then I heard March 21st.
March 23rd, I'm sorry.
March 23rd.
Yes, that's
Thank
the
you.
early release
I
day.
was trying to, thank you very much. So
We're
are
going
you,
to do that collectively. as
Right,
one.
there's two components, taking March the 23rd to be a full day and to giving us the authority to add 20 minutes to the end of the day, should we have another protracted leave of bad weather and missing school.
Do we have feedback from principals and teachers?
Principals would prefer that you have the 20 minutes at the end of the day. I think most people would prefer not to take spring break or add to the end of the school year. I mean, I would think that would be much easier than taking spring break.
And each school could do it how they, it could be 10 before?
No,
10?
it would be
No.
universal because it would mess up the bus system.
Oh, yeah.
It would have to
Oh,
be
yeah.
20 minutes at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Jeff Squin, please don't do that.
so
Exactly.
I want to be sure I understand. So that's for this year.
Yes.
And the first thing you're asking for is to use the March 23rd date.
Right, for a full
It's
day.
a full
And
day.
that's
Instead of a half day.
It's instead of a half day because it was an early release. So it doesn't touch their Easter vacation.
Right.
That's what I wanted to be sure of. So it's a,
And
early
the only
release.
time we would look at the 20 minutes extra time would be if we get another 3 days of missed school or something like that. Like a week in which we're gone most of the week.
Okay. Thank you.
No, you won't.
Okay, do I hear a motion that we approve the 2017-18 calendar modification that Dr. Stone has explained?
I have one more question. Dr. Burns, how does that impact professional development for that day? Are there other, on the early release day?
We don't do this county level, that's school level.
Okay, okay. So they can work it out at the school level to do, okay,
That's their days.
okay.
And has this been discussed already with the principals? Are they aware of this? They're aware and,
We shared it at the last principals meeting.
okay, thank you.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve this recommendation from Dr. Stone on the calendar modification in relation to March 23rd being a full day instead of a half day, and if necessary, to give him the authority to extend the school day by 20 minutes if necessary?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. Item 3 is Board Policy 7410, which is teacher contracts. As you remember from the school law conference this year, the board has to have a policy on teacher contracts. For the first 3 years of a new teacher's career, they only get a 1-year contract. But at the 4th year, the board has an option. So we would like to recommend a 2-year contract. At this point, we had a committee of 3 teachers and a committee of 3 principals who kind of helped us come to this solution. So we'd like to recommend that they do their 3 years, 1 year, and then at the 4th year, that they be given a 2-year contract should there be no problems with their performance. You'll also see the committee recommended that probably at this point next year, that they have another recommendation for the board to develop some criteria for the high-flying teachers to be able to get a 4-year contract after the 2-year contract. So it's a 2-year contract for everyone, and then develop some criteria so people who meet certain criteria can get a 4-year versus the 2-year.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we put policy number 7410, teacher contract, out for a 1-month comment period.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Any comments or questions?
Was the discussion pretty favorable of this 2-year and then
Yes.
looking, the potential of looking forward?
It was.
To a longer one?
Yeah, all 6 staff members were pleased with the 2-year. Right, Lynette? Lynette was there.
All right. And that
Okay.
says it, and that's good.
Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion passes.
The 4th item is the approval. This is there have been no public comment on any of these policies, so we'd like to recommend approval of all the policies listed here for adoption.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the board policies that have been out for a 30-day comment period? The policy revisions as has been presented to you. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Anything else, Dr. Stone?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next, we have Dr. Trish Johnson, Associate Superintendent, Human Resource Services.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Stone, I have 3 items for your attention this evening, starting with Exhibit 5. Exhibit 5 is just usual and customary personnel items for your information only, requiring no action. Exhibit 6 includes usual and customary personnel items requiring action. I respectfully recommend approval of these items as they have already been presented to you.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the usual and customary personnel items as presented by Dr. Johnson?
Chairman Pennell, I recommend that we approve the usual and customary personnel items as presented by Dr. Johnson.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. And then in Exhibit, where am I in? Exhibit 7?
Yes.
Includes student transfers received since your last board meeting. Since the last board meeting, we had a request for 12 student transfers. Of the 12, all 12 meet established board criteria. We respectfully recommend approval of the 12 as presented. If approved tonight, that brings the total transfer request for the 2017-18 school year approval to 626. We respectfully recommend approval of the 12 transfers.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the 12 transfers as presented by Dr. Johnson.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Dr. Stone, you have any?
I just have one
additional?
quick one. We want to thank Destin Hall, if he's still here,
Yep.
for
Exciting over
voting
there.
tomorrow. We have in the affirmative for House Bill 90, which does take care of the class size issue that we've been lobbying with the General Assembly for. We do want to, Dustin has indicated that he is in favor of it. The Senate, I believe, passed it yesterday. So this will allow us to continue the class sizes for next year, and then over the next 3 years to decrease the class size by 1. It also puts in $61 million for teachers of the enhancement teachers, music, art, PE, which will be of great use to Caldwell County schools. And I believe it also expands pre-K, so thank you for that too as well, Destin. We want you to vote yes tomorrow. All you're doing? Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
And please tell Deanna too, we appreciate her helping in the Senate.
Are we still reviewing some personnel policies we talked about last time and I think the time before with Destin?
Yeah, we are. The next time we have a closed session.
Okay.
okay, next is for board information. Dottie was able to go as our representative to the Advocacy Institute. So, Dottie, you have some things to share with us?
Right. Well, it's always a pleasure to help represent North Carolina in Washington, D.C. I do confess that I probably was not able to drain the swamp, even though I tried. NSBA always does such a good job of narrowing down to a few key issues, the things that we need to advocate for our students for. And one of the things they ask us to do is to bring district-specific information so that it really means something to our representatives. And I want to thank Dr. Johnson, Dr. Burns, Dr. Church, Robert Semple, Libby Huff for giving me the district-specific facts. And as a matter of fact, when I turned them in to NSBA's registration table, one of the ladies there I guess she recognized my folder, Libby. She says, "Oh, I remember you brought this last year, and I used a bunch of the stuff that you brought." So I hope that makes you all feel good that you went to the trouble to get the information together for me, because they really do appreciate it and are able to use it in their lobbying efforts. But the main issues that we discussed were reauthorization of the Perkins Act, which has gone through the House, but again is stalled in the Senate. These things happen at that level as well. Reauthorizing the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, some investment in Title I and Title II as far as all of our elementary and middle schools are Title I, and of course Title II feeds professional development for our teachers. They also were hoping for more reauthorization of the Higher Education Act, which can help some of our teachers through loan forgiveness and things like this. One issue that did come up several times, and I did just pass something on to Mr. Hall, is DACA. And some school systems are having much more problem with this than others. One of the folks from California said they have about 10,000 teachers who fall under DACA. And if something doesn't happen by March 5th, they are in a world of trouble out there. I mean, can you imagine losing that many teachers at one time? And I mean, there are a number of states where they have a lot of the DACA recipients. And so, again, there was a push to address this issue and find ways for some of these very talented and dedicated teachers in many cases and other young folks to continue on their path towards citizenship and legality. We also talked about net neutrality. The two folks that I talked to, I went to Representative Mark Meadows' office. He was actually headed out the door to the Capitol building as I was headed into his office, so we spoke very briefly. But I did spend about half an hour with his legislative assistant, Megan Compton, who's new this year but was very open to the information that I presented. I was not able to meet with our senators this year because my two representatives overlapped with that meeting. It's one of those things we sometimes have to divide and conquer. I then went to meet with Representative Virginia Fox, which is a very interesting experience. She was not terribly encouraging about net neutrality, for one. She seemed to feel like Congress was going to let the FCC's ruling stand. When I talked about IDEA, she indicated that there probably was not a lot of money out there to put into that. We talked a little about infrastructure, and I always take every opportunity I can to rub things in a little bit. I don't know if you know that Representative Fox's husband attended Valmead Elementary School. So when I was talking about the age of our schools, she said, "He's 75 years old." And I said, "That should give you a clue as to how old that school is." And I said, we definitely need some upgrades to some of our schools. And so, again, she was not terribly optimistic about much of an increase in funding. She was on the committee that kind of got the Perkins bill passed through the House and said that we need to concentrate on our senators. One of the things that I learned, somewhat to my dismay, I guess I should say, one of our breakout sessions involved the legislative assistants from 3 different members of Congress having a panel discussion. And we're talking 23, 24-year-olds here just out of college. And the congressmen are so busy and so covered up that these legislative assistants are generally the ones who are writing the bills that are going to Congress. And so what they said was, don't bother emailing your congressman, email me. If there's information you have that is pertinent to, whether it's IDEA, and I mean, again, I shared this with them, and Representative Fox had her legislative assistant there as well. But they, as I say, it's a little bit alarming to think of these very, very young, albeit very bright, talented young people writing legislation that affects millions of children across the country. I see Dr. Burns about to have a heart attack there. And, but that was an interesting takeaway from that particular session. So, it's always a bit of a challenge, but, we keep plugging away and hoping that, some of this information that we take will be valuable. And as I say, I really appreciate the input I've gotten from our staff on district-specific facts and figures that I can take to really make the point when I'm there.
Okay, Dottie, thank you very much for your report, representing Caldwell County there. Anything else? Do I hear a motion that we adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned. Thank you for being here.